Hi everyone, yes, it's me again after a few months, and I've been wanting to do this video for about 7 months now. I cannot believe it's been 7 months, but it has, and yeah, I didn't get around doing the video until now. I wanted to do a two-part video about my C-section, and this first one's going to be the actual C-section, and part 2 is going to be the recovery process, both in the hospital and at home. And if you haven't seen what happened at my delivery at my C-section, then I've got a separate video on that which explains a bit more on how I got to an emergency C-section, which is what I got in the end and all of that. But also to say here, disclaimer, you know, you've got to do these things these days. I'm not a medical professional, so don't take this as medical advice. I'm just telling you my experience. Please go and look at other sources of information. Don't just take this video and, you know, that's it. Also, I had my C-section in the UK. I know C-sections and emergency C-sections are different in other countries and different things might happen, so just take that into account as well. But one of the things that I didn't know, and I only knew this after I saw my hospital release notes like weeks later, is that C-sections have different categories, which I knew, but I didn't know like they had numbers and stuff. And I had an emergency C-section which was category 1. And looking that up online, it means that they have to deliver the baby within 30 minutes of saying it's going to be a C-section. So from the decision of C-section to baby out, it's a maximum of 30 minutes. So the first thing that happened when they said you're going to have a C-section now is that they took my husband away and took him somewhere else. Don't know where they took him, to change his clothes so he could go into the theater with me. And I know in other countries like Spain, I've seen people do videos and they're not allowed to have their spouse or whoever's going with them during the C-section. But for me, he was able to, and I'm very glad that he was, because I think that was quite helpful, because it's a scary situation. You don't want to be left alone really in that sort of environment. So that was a good thing for me, but I know not everyone has the same option. While he was gone, getting changed and all that, they started rolling my bed towards theater, and while that was happening they were telling me all the risks and things that could happen during the C-section. Obviously I know a lot of people talk about C-sections like, oh, I had a C-section, someone had a C-section, blah 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 blah, like it's a very normal thing, and it's a normal thing, but it is a serious surgery that is happening to you. Like they're opening your body, things are happening, there are loads of risks involved with it. And for me, it's really helpful to research them beforehand, so it's not scary in the moment. And it was still quite scary because it's different looking them up and knowing what happens, and also knowing that it's happening to you right now, and any of those things could happen to you. One of the things that, you know, it's not the scariest one, but the one that in the moment I was like, oh my god, no. Because I think I didn't realize this could happen. It makes sense, but I didn't realize as much as the other stuff. And it's that if there's any issue with your anesthetic, they might have to put you under general, which in the moment I think I said to the lady, no, please no. And she must have been like, oh my god, this lady. You know, if they have to, they have to. But it's one of the things that I didn't necessarily realize or thought about, but it could happen. You know, you're moving too much, they're not able to do the anesthetic on you, or it doesn't actually cause the effect that it has to in the amount of time that it has to, and you know, they have to do it within 30 minutes, so it could happen. Another thing that happens as they as they roll you in, is that everyone introduces themselves to you, which I guess in a planned C-section could be a really nice thing to know the names of the faces that you see there. But in an emergency one, I found it very stressful that, you know, I was thinking about all these things in a couple of minutes, and having loads of people, because I also went for my C-section when they were changing the shifts, so it was double the people, having everyone just come up to you, like to your face, being like, this is my name, this is my role. I didn't necessarily find that helpful, more the opposite. But it is something that happens while you're walking in. And then there's two kinds of, this is my understanding, again, not a medical professional. My understanding is there's two kinds of anesthetic that you could have. One is the epidural and one is the spinal. The epidural, my understanding is you might have it from beforehand. If you've been at the hospital before, you already had the epidural in, then they leave that in for the C-section. It takes longer to take effect from the moment that they put it in. So the other option, which is what I had, is the spinal, which takes effect much quicker. And also they told me it was less invasive. The needle is shorter as well. So I previously said I was gonna have an epidural. At that point I wanted an epidural. So because I already said to the guy, to the anesthetist, that I was gonna have an epidural, then he took that as consent that, you know, I was gonna have it. So because the spinal is less invasive, he basically took that as consent for the spinal, so I didn't have to give my consent again for the anesthetic. Also, I forgot to say, they will do a catheter on you. I already had it beforehand. Again, you can see the video on why I had it already, but if you didn't have one up until this point, they would have done one before this moment. And then yeah, they do the anesthetic. Like I said, I had the spinal. Very easy. I was actually quite scared of epidurals and things like that beforehand. I don't know why, but I just was. And I found the spinal really easy. I also had a contraction while they were putting it in, and that's one of the things that scared me about epidurals, really. And it was completely fine. Nothing happened. You just curve your back and they put it in. I'm someone who doesn't really mind blood being taken from me, like a blood test and that kind of thing. Like, it doesn't bother me to look at it. It doesn't really bother me at all. And this was very similar. I didn't feel any pain or like major discomfort or anything like that. It was quite quick as well. And once that's in, then they make you lay down and all of that, because it starts to take effect quite quickly. They'll put up that blue like curtain paper thing in front of you, like the screen they call it, I think, so you can't see what's gonna happen in the C-section. And they'll start asking you if you feel your legs, if you feel any pain and all that stuff. They go numb very quickly. I found it weird that I could still move my toes for a while, and I found that like a bit scary, but apparently that's fine, that can happen. But you're not able to move your legs at all. And they do this really cold spray on you as well. Apparently cold and pain is like the same sensation, or I don't know, the same feel. I don't know what the thing is, but they do a cold spray on you. If you do not feel that, then it means that you wouldn't feel the pain, so then they can start with the surgery itself. And I did want to talk about the feeling and the sensation of having the C-section itself, because it's a very weird one. I personally didn't feel any pain or discomfort at all during any of it. I know also I've heard people say, and you know, I've seen videos of people say this in Spain, and I know other countries do it as well. They tie your arms while you're having your C-section done. I find that, like, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I find it medieval that they would tie you to the operating table to do the C-section while you're conscious. That puts you in a state of alarm that I wouldn't have liked that. But thankfully for me, I had my arms free. I had them up here, so the screen would have been like under my chest. I had my arms up here, so if I wanted to scratch or whatever, touch my hair, whatever I wanted to do, most of the time it just was like this. I didn't have any major discomfort, any need to move them or do anything with them. The only thing is that it does feel, they say, and I get it, I don't think I would have been able to know what that feels like, but having had it done, I do get it. They say it's like having the dishes done inside of you. You feel like some tugging and pulling, but again, no discomfort, no pain whatsoever. So it's a very weird sensation, because you know things are happening and they're doing things to you, but it doesn't really feel like anything other than that sensation of pulling and tugging. But it's not like, you know, it's kind of like, I don't know, like going like this on your shirt, like that kind of feeling. And then within like 10-15 minutes, I think less than 15 minutes, they had my baby out. That was very quick. They show the baby to you over the screen, so you can see the baby. You sort of hear the cry in the distance, I feel like it was, and then you do realize when they show it, it is your baby crying. And then they move him away to the side. You can still see from where you are, but it's not like next to you, to get it checked by the doctors and all that stuff. Obviously, being an emergency C-section, there could be more things that are wrong with the baby, so they do take him away quite quickly to get checked and to get weighed and do the vitamin K injection as well if you want that, all that stuff. They get it done. And at that point is where my husband had been here behind me the whole time, and I said to him, go with the baby, leave me here, I'm fine, go and check the baby, see what's happening to him and all that stuff. And he was able to cut the cord as well. I don't know if the placenta had been cut beforehand or if they cut it there, I don't know, but he was able to cut the cord like close to his body, if you know what I mean. and then they bring the baby to you. And a lot of the timings of this I know because of the photos that we have. So my husband had his phone with him, so he was able to take photos of the baby as well, like literally like 3 minutes after he was born and all that stuff. And then they bring him to me with a towel, like wrapped in a towel. And the first photo that I have of that is 7 minutes after his birth time, so that's quite quick actually. I know a non-C-section birth, even, you know, some women get their baby out and hold him or her like straight away, and that's, you know, I would have loved to have that, but 7 minutes, I think, considering what the situation was, I think was pretty good. You know, it is what it is, but 7 minutes is the time that it took from baby being out to coming to me, yeah, to have on top of me while they're still doing the rest of the C-section. And then we got more photos and stuff like that, so all of that, you know, if you wanted to have photos with your baby straight after the birth and all that, that is fine, you can still have that. At least I was able to. Something that I found quite interesting is there was a blackboard. Obviously during the whole C-section you can hear what the surgeons, what the doctors are saying, and there was a blackboard at the back where they would be checking what goes in and out of your body, which was, I don't know, interesting, but also in a way reassuring to know they were checking and double checking, and they would like tick it on the board once it would like come out of your body and all that stuff. An interesting thing that was happening, that I realized was happening, that I didn't necessarily think about beforehand, but there you go. And another one was my husband. He did see and think it made an impact on his brain at the time, not like in a bad way or like, oh my god, like huge shock, but he did see me from the distance, I think when he was with the baby, when they were cleaning me, basically, you know, me laying on the table with no clothes and blood on me, and they were like cleaning it and wiping it and all that stuff. He didn't see anything in terms of me being open and things like that, but he did see that, you know, kind of like stuck on his brain, understandably. And then after that, the whole of the C-section, I don't know if I said, the whole of the C-section basically lasts about 40 minutes. So after they take the baby out and all of that, it's about another 30 minutes or so. It's quite quick actually, but you know, the second part after baby's out is longer than, you know, getting the baby out. Once all of it is done, they move you from the operating table to another bed to roll you out, and they put some compression socks on you, which is also very interesting to feel or not feel it, really, to see the person putting socks on you but not feel that they're actually putting them on. But they do put compression socks on you at this point, and then they put you on the bed, and then they roll you out to the recovery room, which would be where I start my second video. So hopefully, if you made it this far, you found the video interesting. If you have any questions or anything about what the C-section was and all of that, then please let me know in the comments, because I don't know if I missed anything. I think that's basically what I remember for the most part. If there's any questions or comments or anything, let me know down below. And yeah, if you made it this far, thank you, and I will see you next with part 2 and the recovery process. Bye!